Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I would do an updated Oreo dirt pudding recipe. I watched my first recipe from a few years back and it's missing things and not the best, okay? I've had 3 years of making this, so I thought I would share my perfected recipe. It's pretty simple. This is my 6th time making this since Thanksgiving, and it's today, December 30th, so it's a good one. I get requested to make this all the time, so everybody will love you if you make this. You only need a few things, so this is a simple recipe, and I actually have to leave in an hour to where I'm going to deliver this and eat this. So, all right, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, all you're gonna need a pack of Oreos. I always get the family size, and I don't get the double stuff just because it's easier to handle when it's not double stuffed. So I just get the regular family size. You need a block of cream cheese. I forgot this in my first one. You need this. It makes a difference, I promise. You need a stick of butter. I never pay attention to whether it's salted or unsalted. Today it's salted, just a stick. You need 2 packs of instant Jell-O. The kind you use matters. The flavor you use matters. You want French vanilla. I promise you. French vanilla is key. You just need that flavoring. Okay? And then 2 containers of Cool Whip. I accidentally grabbed one that's reduced fat, which I normally would not use. I just go with the regular one. Even the extra creamy is what I tend to look for, which I think is new. But I like it creamy. So I recommend that one. I forgot to include that you will also need 4 cups of milk. I always just use whole milk, but you can use whatever milk that you like. If you are buying these things today, leave these out for a little while. It just makes your life a little bit easier if you leave these out and they're easy to stir and spread and all that good stuff. I promise it'll just make your life easier. First things first, you want to crunch your Oreos up. So I just use a gallon size Ziploc bag. I put 2 rows of the Oreos in it and I crunch them up. This is gonna be your crust, the bottom of the dirt pudding, okay? Of course, my camera quit recording around this time, but I'm just showing you that I took 2 rows of Oreos to use for the bottom crust and left 1 row that I will use for the last layer to go on top. I'm showing you just the consistency you want your Oreos to look like for your crust. It doesn't have to be super fine, but yet not super chunky. Also, I realized here that I'm using the wrong size dish, so I'm pouring it into the bigger size. The size that I ended up using was around the 9 by 13 size. Next, you want to go ahead and take your stick of butter and get that melted. Make sure that it is fully melted and there aren't any clumps left. Just makes spreading the butter around and getting your Oreos covered a lot easier. So just go ahead and pour that in there, mix around until all your Oreos are fully coated with the butter, and then go ahead and flatten out your Oreos to make that crust. Make sure it's even on top and just an even full layer. After I finish making my crust, I always go ahead and move on to making my pudding next. This isn't the next layer, but it is the 3rd layer. But I make this next just because it has to thicken in the fridge. So while this is thickening in the fridge, I move on to my 2nd layer. So go ahead and add your 4 cups of milk to your pudding, mix it well, and stick it in the fridge. After I put my pudding in the fridge, I go ahead and move on to my 2nd layer, which is going to be the cream cheese and 1 container of Cool Whip. I always put my cream cheese in the microwave for about 30 seconds just to make it easier to stir into the Cool Whip. This is also why you want your Cool Whip to be thawed out and easier to stir just because you have to combine these two and then you have to lay it flat on the Oreo crust. And it just makes it a lot easier if it's thawed out and easier to stir and spread. After you finish spreading on your cream cheese and Cool Whip mixture, go ahead and pull out your pudding. It should be thick enough by now, and just go ahead and toss that right on top of your second layer to make that third layer. After spreading your pudding on top, you can go ahead and grab your last container of Cool Whip and put that right on top of the pudding. This Cool Whip wasn't as thawed out as my first one, and you can kind of tell because it's mixing up with the pudding, which isn't a big deal, but it irritates me a little bit just because I like to keep my layers separate. But at the end, you're gonna take that last row of Oreos and crunch that up, and you're gonna toss that on top so you can kind of cover it up so it's not as noticeable. But again, this is why it's nice to have your Cool Whip all thawed out, so it's just easier to work with and spread across without mixing with the other layers. After you finish putting that last row of crunched Oreos on top, you are done with your dirt pudding. You can go ahead and put it in the fridge for a couple hours, or when you take it with you, if you're going somewhere with this dish, I recommend putting it in the fridge until it's dessert time. But other than that, you are finished. I hope you enjoy this super easy recipe. Thanks for stopping by, and make sure to subscribe for more.